Our top story today, Kamala Harris's past affair comes back to haunt her as her ex speaks out about Biden's replacement. We're talking about this story and so much more here on the Gateway Pundits Weekend Review. My name is Elijah Schaffer, and it's no surprise that Kamala Harris has no children of her own. She's currently remarried to a Jewish husband and has two kids who are ethnically non-related to her. She's also shape-shifting her race. She was supposed to be the first Southeast Indian vice president, but now is the first black vice president as they just continue to change race, color, and sexual orientation whenever it's needed. Well, this time, her past affairs coming out to haunt her. Her ex weighed in on exactly what's going on here. Conservatives have a strong case against Vice President Kamala Harris if they can avoid salaciousness and frame the issue properly. On Sunday, according to the San Francisco Standard, former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown held an impromptu news conference outside a restaurant in which he endorsed Harris as President Joe Biden's replacement at the top of the Democratic presidential ticket. To put it mildly, Harris could have done without Brown's endorsement. The establishment media, of course, will gloss over important details of his history with the vice president. For instance, the Standard noted merely that Brown dated Harris when she was an Alameda County prosecutor in the mid-1990s. The truth, however, goes beyond mere dating, and according to 2019 Politico magazine, San Francisco newspaper began mentioning Harris's name in 1994 when one columnist, on the occasion of Brown's 60th birthday, noted that actor Clint Eastwood had spilled champagne on Brown's new steady. Harris, the new steady, was only 29. Before long, her romantic relationship with Brown paid off, and according to Politico, Harris had dated Brown, who was investigated by the FBI when he was Speaker of the California Assembly and as mayor of the dogged by conflict of interest, and she had benefited from his political patronage. Indeed, it said as the Speaker of the State Assembly, Brown named Harris to well-paid posts on the California Medical Assistance Commission and Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board. Furthermore, as mayor of San Francisco in 2003, Brown was supportive of her district attorney campaign, although they were no longer dating. Critics, including her opponents, were bemoaning cronyism at City Hall. In other words, a 29-year-old woman, Harris, had a romantic relationship with a much older man who gave her government jobs and later came under scrutiny from federal law enforcement. As we've learned in recent years, federal investigations do not always mean that someone has committed a crime. Thus, for present purposes, any hint of impropriety matters less than the manner by which Harris launched her political career. Conservative commentator Matt Walsh raised the issue from Harris's past on Sunday. Kamala Harris got her start in politics by sleeping with Willie Brown. She made a career out of begging her hands out from powerful men, a thoroughly unimpressive human being, he added. But Naomi Wolf, a former liberal who saw the light thanks in part to the establishment authoritarian COVID-19 policies, warned conservative not to focus on Harris's sexual past. This kind of sexist take from Republican men will not play well. Swing voters who are women are up for grabs. The Trump-Vance ticket needs them, and she slept her way to the top. Just repels many women and is not an argument. Walsh made several fair points about Harris's ascent. On the other hand, Republicans ignore Wolf's advice at their peril. In short, her romantic relationship with Brown highlights the fact that she has spent her career acquiring unearned power. Her suddenly elevation to the top of Democratic ticket constitutes merely the latest example. Voters probably will not care about whom Harris dated 30 years ago, but they would care about every time she speaks. She exposes herself as unworthy of the power she wields. The Brown story reminds voters of who she is and how thoroughly unimpressive her career was. Thus, the last thing she needed was his endorsement, and that's what we leave it there. Now, I'm not here to pick apart Kamala Harris. I'm not much interested in people's personal lives like this, but, it is crazy that you do get protected as a Democrat, that nobody really ever comes after you, and your life is always completely okay. Our next story from the GatewayPundit.com exclusive, first photos of President Trump's ear without bandages after he survives an attempted assassination. President Donald Trump, obviously we know, was nearly assassinated this last, a weekend and a half ago in Butler, Pennsylvania. But Gateway contributors traveled to Butler, Pennsylvania and reported several stories from eyewitnesses who believe the government may have been in on the attempted assassination. The government also has not even released the information how many bullets were fired and how many casings were found. During the RNC convention, President Trump took the stage with a large patch on his ear. His doctor said his injured ear was still bleeding at times. The patch was very noticeable. On Tuesday, President Trump sat for a series of interviews, and we were able to pull photos from one of his interviews with the Black Pine video. You can still see the damage to the blood vessel, but he's no longer wearing it. So he was hit. But you can see his top ear is bruised as well, obviously from the bleeding, and we wish him well. We're very glad he survived. It was a crazy and momentous time. Speaking of just little news, shocker. Hackers leak stolen Pentagon documents. Christina Lila reports. Hackers leaked stolen documents from a massive IT company that services the Pentagon. According to Bloomberg News, the IT company Leidos Holdings recently learned about the breach and believed the documents were stolen from Diligent Corp. The Virginia-based company, which counts the U.S. Department of Defense as its primary customer, used the Diligent systems to host information gathered in internal investigations. The report added, citing a filing from June 2023. A Diligent spokesperson told Bloomberg that the leak appeared to be from a 2022 hack affecting its subsidiary Business Steel Compliance Solutions. Bloomberg reported that hackers have leaked internal documents stolen from Leidos Holdings, one of the largest companies. They recently learned the issue and believe the documents were stolen in a previously disclosed breach. Hackers and cyber attacks are becoming very common on Joe Biden's watch. Earlier this month, one of the largest healthcare systems in America canceled all non-urgent visits, procedures, and surgeries due to a computer outage linked to cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. The Gateway Pundit reported earlier that major IT outages are being reported across the world, causing complications, as some flying Delta have seen their flights canceled for more than 4 days. Absolutely mind-boggling. The WEF warned in January of 2023 that we would become accustomed to these types of changes and that cyber attacks would become more prevalent in the coming years. I wonder what they meant by that. Our next story from the gatewaypundit.com. Additional 3 individuals identified as suspicious prior to Trump assassination attempt, says Pennsylvania Police Commissioner. Jim Hoff reports. The Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner, Colonel Christopher Paris, disclosed that not 1 but 4 individuals were flagged as suspicious during former President Donald Trump's rally at Butler, Pennsylvania. This information came to light during a congressional hearing following the assassination attempt on the former president. According to preliminary findings reported by the Senator Ron Johnson's office, local law enforcement had spotted Crooks nearly an hour before the shooting. Crooks was first spotted by a local law enforcement sniper who noted suspicious behavior but did not observe any immediate threat of weapon. According to the timeline provided by the local law enforcement, nearly 1 hour before former President Trump was shot, one of the 2 local law enforcement snipers positioned in the AGR building observed the shooter, Crooks, for the first time. Local law enforcement told Senator Johnson's office that at the time, even though Crooks did not have a weapon, he seemed suspicious. At 5:14 p.m., AGR Sniper 1 took at least 2 pictures of Crooks. One of the pictures appears to show Crooks on his phone. At 5:28 p.m., the AGR Sniper 1 took a picture of the bicycle and backpack near the AGR building. It's unclear whether these items are associated with Crooks. AGR Sniper 1 saw Crooks again near the AGR building. Sniper 1 called into command to report the suspect and describe the suspect's appearance and notes that he has a rangefinder. Sniper 1 texted the Beaver ESU group command about this suspect and instructed them to relay the message to command. To date, there are public reports that a counter sniper flagged a suspicious man using a rangefinder to Secret Service some 20 minutes before gunmen opened fire. So was this an inside job? I mean, we do know that it's definitely negligence. There's definitely incompetence, but was it on purpose? That's the question we all want to know. I'd love to know your thoughts down below. Speaking of something very funny, the manufactured support for Kamala Harris. Tough crowd. Chuck Schumer endorses Kamala Harris for president after successful coup of Biden, and no one claps even after he asks them to. You can watch the video here. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer endorsed Kamala Harris this afternoon for president after helping orchestrate a coup to push Joe Biden out of the race. But a celebratory moment for the notorious publicity hound turned into a humiliation quickly. Watch the footage for yourself. Here he is having a bit of a difficult time sharing his enthusiasm for Kamala Harris. Watch.
So now that the process is played out from the grassroots bottom up, we are here today to throw our support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm clapping. You don't have to.
Brutal.